alone and just loiter around. So there'd be one escort per bunch of journalists. So that's why they were waiting for quorum.
The other really interesting thing is the level of detailing that's gone into planning this state dinner. I mean, I don't want to compare with Rashtrapati Bhavan or the fare that's put out there, but if you just see, trying to link it to the Indian tricolor, linking it to the peacock, bringing in millets, so they're very, very aware. And there's also a Patel red wine. I mean, we spoke to Raj Patel. He, of course, is shocked with the fact that, he's featuring then Patel's, such a fabulous industrious community, but not really known for their wines. And there'll be a Patel red wine. So now everybody's just, looking for Patel red wines. But that just shows the level of detailing in rather unexpected ways as well. The social secretary at the White House working very hard to just bring it together in a magical way.
Well, that's right. And getting millets. So there is a difference over here. We've had vegetarian prime ministers before as well. And a lot of respect is given to the Indian leadership when they're here. They make sure, Rahul, that there is vegetarian food for the visiting dignitary, which is what has happened over here as well. But millets, which is very close to Prime Minister Modi's heart, is part of the menu, is only showing the nuanced way in which they've taken care of little things that Prime Minister Modi is doing this time around.
There apparently was a garba last night at that private dinner. So, so Mr. and Mrs. Biden both, I suppose this is more Mrs. Biden than Mr.
First
Biden.
Lady, yeah.
Yeah, so making an effort really, and also for those Garba performers who would have been there, it's the opportunity of a lifetime. I mean, they would have been practicing all day long, and then to be given the opportunity to perform before the Prime Minister would have been special for them.
Well, absolutely, Rahul. The performances, like Rahul was saying, is not just inside the White House. We've been seeing performances through and through, Garba, Dandiya, you name it, outside of the White House, as well as outside of Hotel Willard, which is the official hotel of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And then a very professional Garba performance for the Indian Premier at the White House. So very interesting. There's a lot of color, a lot of culture, incorporating a lot of culture also, because the messaging over here between India and the United States of America is very clear, that these are two countries with shared values. Culture, while not absolutely shared, but Indian community, Indian Americans have become a very important, huge part. Rahul has come with an umbrella, very nice.
Scale umbrella. I mean,
It has to be, because when we're reporting out in the field and there are rains, primarily this is to ensure that you're not getting wet on any side, and that's why these large umbrellas for the media industry.
Impressed with our production team. They got like this solid industrial scale umbrella. If you have one, you can do weights with this thing.
Yeah.
But it's been raining non-stop. If you have to be at the White House, I wish this was an idyllic day. The sun would be out. That would be really nice. It's not too cold. But hey, as long as the business end of...
We had women and kids performing in the rain yesterday. They were shivering out in the cold. And I asked them, aren't you cold? Are you still going to wait? And they waited 4 hours just to get a glimpse of Prime Minister Modi. So this is a pitter-patter compared to what we experienced yesterday, Rahul.
No, and the fact that Prime Minister Narendra Modi here amongst the Indian American community continues to have the kind of approval ratings which would seem to defy all kinds of human logic, because I saw in 2014 there was a lot of support for the Prime Minister, and that in some senses is understandable because he just got elected to power. But 9 years later, to have the same level of enthusiasm, to have the same level of support, just shows how anti-incumbency doesn't seem to have caught up, and that is quite that is quite incredible, given the fact that you're in power. Obviously you do things, you don't do things, and then after a while you expect a certain number of people to be really upset and angry, and sure, there are some protesters. Remember, there have been some Manipuri protesters in different parts. There have been some Khalistani protesters, but there haven't been those many. If you ask the vast majority, the overriding majority very strongly backing what the what the Prime Minister is doing. And this really is one of the great sources of strength for the Prime Minister, the kind of support he enjoys within the Indian American community, many of whom are very active brand ambassadors for his style of governance and politics.
Absolutely. And Rahul, you spoke about the protesters as well. Would you be able to identify which organization they are from? Have we spoken to any of these protesters? Because I believe they're just few and far between.
Oh, there aren't too many of those, but you can't take away the fact that there are some. And also, in many ways, it shows that India is a fully functional democracy where there are people who, have come out to support the Prime Minister. They're singing, dancing, having a merry time. And there are those who don't like what the PM is doing or would like him to do different things in a different fashion. And that's just a part of, and there has been some pushback. If we see in the media here in the United States, there have been some scathing articles, but hey, when you talk about two democracies and their emerging equations, this is quite on expected lines. You can't expect all 100 people to jump up and say that the Prime Minister is doing a great job or that things are going on the right track. There will be those who have a differing point of view, and they're fully entitled to their point of view. And despite the fact that when President Biden came into power, there were apprehensions that maybe things won't be as rosy as they were with Donald Trump, but it hasn't panned out like that, keeping the institutional framework of the India-United States relationship uppermost. President Biden has been able to, navigate the boat along. In fact, add speed to the boat and take it much further, much faster, and that is to the credit of both President Biden and Prime Minister Modi.
We also have the White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby describing the joint press conference that is going to happen as a very big deal. If you could tell us, why would he say something of this nature? Because it's very common for, when you have two leaders of countries to go ahead and address press conferences.
The Indian Prime Minister hasn't done too many press conferences. In fact, hardly has done any. And there has been the odd occasion. I think there was one with Donald Trump where there were some questions. There will be some questions today as well. Some from the Indian media delegation, some from the US media delegation. And that will be interesting to see what gets thrown the Prime Minister's way, how he reacts. He should really take more questions. I mean, there's no question about that. But in the way that he is, he prefers interviews to live press conferences. And that's just been his style of operation. From the time when he was Chief Minister, doing active press conferences is not something that he enjoys very much. So there will be, after the bilateral meetings get over, there will be those questions, and it'll be interesting to see how the Prime Minister reacts, and also what kind of curveballs come his way, Chaiti.
Absolutely, Rahul. So I'm going to leave it at that. I can't really say that enjoy your Patel wines because it's too early in the morning for you. But thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast. We're slipping into a very short commercial break. Lots more coming up on the other side.
You are watching India Today.
Best colleges of the country. Which one will boost your aspirations? From courses to placements, know them all. India Today Best Colleges Survey 2023 issue out this Friday, 23rd June. Subscribe now to indiatoday.in/subscribe and get freebies worth 2,700 from your favorite brands.
Quality today. In Delhi, 114. In Mumbai, 57. In Kolkata, 55. In Bangalore, 55. In Chennai, 72. In Hyderabad, 52.
Why does this happen? Let me tell you the science behind it.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today News Mo.
Akanksha, how will the valuation cuts impact employee ESOPs? What have you learned?
Well, in very simple terms, ESOPs are basically equity in the company in which the employees are working. This is granted to them in the form of remuneration by the company. So what happens is, at the time when the ESOPs are granted, they're granted to employees at a rate which is called the strike rate, which is usually lower than the market rate at that point in time. And moreover, the ESOPs, the strike rate of the ESOPs depends on the valuation of the company at that point in time. So what's happening here is, in the normal due course of time, it's expected that once the ESOPs have vested, employees can go out and sell the ESOPs at their strike rate. And since the market rate is, of course, going to be higher than the strike rate, the difference between the market rate and the strike rate is the employee's profit. But now, in situations like this, where the valuation of the company has reduced, it's most likely that when these employees go out with the strike rate at which they had received when the valuation was high, and when they try to sell their ESOPs, the difference between the market rate and the strike rate is not going to be as much as they were expecting before at a higher valuation, which means their monetary benefit and profit is also going to reduce. So that's how the valuation of ESOPs has changed with the devaluation or the reduction in the valuation of these companies.
How do you think employees are likely to react to this, Akanksha?
Well, there are two likely scenarios in which this is going to play out, at least in the short term. For starters, it's going to be extremely difficult to retain talent which is already working at these companies. It's because these employees had a set monetary figure in mind when, they had gotten these ESOPs. They thought that this is the amount of profit or monetary benefit that they're going to get out of the vested ESOPs. But that's not going to happen when they're going to cash it out, at least in the near term. The next issue that's going to happen, like you just said some time ago, is that ESOPs were a means to attract top talent. And if the ESOPs or the monetary benefit out of ESOPs is not as employees or outsiders or the top talent thinks it is, maybe they would not be more willing to work at these companies. So, yeah.
You are watching India Today.
Breaking news coming in ahead of mega opposition meeting in Patna on Friday. Home Minister Shah takes a veiled dig at the Congress party. Shah says, who will be the Prime Minister in 2024? Rahul Baba or Modi?
कौन 24 में राहुल बाबा और मोदी जी कौन प्रधानमंत्री बनेगा? अरे जोर से बोलो, कौन प्रधानमंत्री बनेगा? 24 में राहुल बाबा और मोदी जी कौन प्रधानमंत्री बनेगा? अरे जोर से बोलो, कौन प्रधानमंत्री बनेगा?
All right, this is a tongue-in-cheek comment coming in from Home Minister Amit Shah. He's taken a real dig at the Congress party, obviously, by making a comment like this. He goes on to ask, who is going to be the Prime Minister in 2024? Rahul Baba or Modi? And you heard him say that right there ahead of the opposition meeting in Patna on Friday. Home Minister Amit Shah has taken a wild jibe at the Congress party, questioning who's going to be the Prime Minister in the year 2024. Is it going to be Rahul Baba or Modi? Latest coming in there. This, of course, comes in just a day ahead of the mega opposition meeting in Patna, which is going to take place tomorrow, where we are seeing a rift already between the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress Party ahead of this entire meeting, which is supposed to showcase unity, which is just supposed to showcase a strong opposition, which is able to take on Prime Minister Narendra Modi in 2024. And we're already seeing cracks in the opposition, as we've been reporting.